Folks, welcome to my first ever live reaction to whatever that was out there tonight. I posted an article earlier today, with Trainwreck Sports about, what has happened to my hockey team. One of the things that most people think that the rant last year was more just the product on the ice and the unkempt arena conditions and just lack of, attention to fans. And yeah, that was such a huge part of it. But some of the things that I didn't talk about that were a big part of it was the fact that growing up watching this team in the late 90s and early 2000s, those were the teams I held closest to my heart. And those are the teams that, for the most part, a lot of time were considered the hardest working team in hockey, coached by guys like Ted Nolan and, of course, Lindy Ruff. Okay, so with that being said, no matter like how good or bad the team was or average the team was, they were enjoyable to watch because of a couple of things. They, night in and night out, gave you literally everything you had. We never had superstars really other than Dominik Hasek in those years. Our goaltender, which we severely need a goaltender right now. Like, let's be real, we really need a goaltender. It's so glaringly that bad. Like, I've always been a huge advocate. You don't need a great goaltender to win hockey games. It's been proven time and time again by guys like Matt Murray. Back in the day, Chris Osgood was never elite, but he had great hockey teams in front of him. It's been, Antti Niemi won a cup. Crawford with Chicago. How many cups has he won? It's insane. And, we were backed up by like Hasek, and he was the big superstar for us. He was the guy. He was it. That was it. And now there's just, but they played with so much passion and aggression, and they made you feel like you mattered, that you being there mattered, that the fact that you cared about them mattered to them. And that is such a lacking thing right now with this organization. It's not the talent, guys. Trust me, it's not the talent. You literally the greatest center this organization has had since Pat LaFontaine. That's a whole other subject with how we annihilated him on the way out the door. I haven't heard from him since. We have the best defenseman in Rasmus Dahlin since Phil Housley. That's a fact. And you have the two hardest pieces in place. You have your franchise center, you have your franchise defenseman, but you just don't have anything around them to help them succeed, and the coaching is atrocious. I just sat there and listened to Ralph Kruger tell us how he broke up the Skinner and Eichel because he didn't know how they were performing, but he loved how Tage Thompson was performing. Are you kidding me? Tage Thompson was out there with no goalie with 3 minutes left as an extra attacker. Are you kidding me? Tage Thompson! He is a bum! He is a bum! The biggest wasted talent on this team next to Casey Middlestat. An absolute bum. And you guys are grasping at straws because you're trying to find some type of compensation for that bum deal with Ryan O'Reilly, who went and won a cup the next year. And you're just so desperate to just find something out of that deal, to find anything out of that deal to compensate for what you lost. It's so pathetic. It is so pathetic. I remember back in the day where you couldn't go down a street without seeing some kids playing hockey, or they're the driver in the street wearing their Sabres jerseys. Turn a corner, people representing the Buffalo Sabres with so much pride. Literally, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing it. Like it was everywhere. Not even just in those years that most people remember in 05, 06, 06, 07, 07. Like, it wasn't just those years. It was so prevalent in 96, 97, 97, 98, 98, 99, and 2000. And then when Hasek's last year up into 2001, before he was, we dealt him to Detroit. It was so prevalent then. And they worked so hard for the people of this city because they knew the talent wasn't necessarily there. It wasn't there, so they had to work extra hard. But now we have the talent. We have some of the best talent this franchise has ever seen. But we have an inept owner, a woman who thinks that she knows more than us, who annihilates us without even being remotely present ever. Because they could care less. I'm not going to blame them for wanting to go watch their daughter, succeed in tennis, because this is a big moment for that in that family. But even preceding that, they've been nowhere. There's still zero accountability. Nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing has changed with this team and this organization and this franchise. Ralph Krueger can yell it from all he wants, or speak so passionately all he wants, and go eat all the chicken wings and drink all the beers with fans that he wants, but nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. There's such a lack of passion. And you know what? Get Kyle Okposo off my hockey team immediately. Strip that A off his jersey. Buy out his contract, because that disrespectful, overpaid bum had the audacity last night. The audacity after a period where only in 3 times in this franchise's history has happened before, where we failed to get a shot in a period going in where we were down 3-1. And you had the audacity to say, we had a bad period, it is what it is. Get the hell off my hockey team. You're slapping every fan that before this paid their hard-earned paychecks to come watch you play. And that's the biggest difference, because those teams back then cared at the fact that you were spending your middle-class dollars to come watch them play, to purchase a ticket back then, which was very expensive. Very expensive. They can care less. People like Kyle Okposo could care less. They're so comfortable with just playing it out the rest of their contract, making $6 million a year, playing like an absolute slug for 8 to 10 minutes a night. Well, that first goal, I guess it is what it is, Kyle. Couldn't tie up your guy, couldn't keep up. Get off my hockey team. Retire, you disrespectful prick. It is what it is. Oh, it is what it is. Put that on the back of your jersey, you bum. I'm so insulted by a guy who's supposed to be a locker room guy, a locker room leader, and you come out with that garbage? Get off my hockey team. I'm so sick as a fan of being taken for granted by this bum organization run by inept people who just don't choose to familiarize themselves with their fan base. They don't choose to identify. They choose to just not even attempt to relate to us, because how could they? How can they ever? Never can they. They don't know what it's like to work 5 hard days a week, bust your balls, sweat your ass off to make barely maybe enough to make ends meet, spend that money on a ticket, and then go watch that product? That lack of passion, and it isn't Jack Eichel's fault. I don't want to hear that garbage, because I don't know what more you want that guy to do after 6 years of losing. How much more do you people want him to do? I don't blame Ryan O'Reilly for coming out and straight saying, I've lost my love for this game, because how can you not? Anybody who's played hockey who constantly loses, you get to show up to the rink night after night, day after day, and just continuously lose. Because you have people above you who don't know how to do their jobs. I would feel really frustrated and depressed too. And you could see it in Jack Eichel, but he still goes out there and he busts his ass. I don't want to hear that crap. People try to push him out of town because they think he's the problem. He is the furthest thing from the problem. The furthest thing. You have bums like Okposo wasting $6 million of your salary cap, giving a half-ass effort. You wasted money on people like Casey Middlestat and Tage Thompson because they looked good in practice. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And we're still debating about Sam Reinhart and whether he's worth the money that we think he's going to get. Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Like, if it takes 6 years to determine if a player is worth the money, guess what? They're not worth the money. And I don't care what analytics say. You separate Sam Reinhart for Jack Eichel, he is at best a 20-goal scorer. Fringe 20-goal scorer if you're lucky. And that's a fact. Yes, He was telling the truth. Ryan O'Reilly was telling the truth. It's like literally Groundhog Day, year after year after year, and it's worse than the Bills drought. Like, what more are players like Jack supposed to do other than attempt to put a team on his back that's underperforming constantly? You see glimpses of a great hockey team before this COVID pause. You see glimpses, and for 2 straight games, and they had every excuse in the book. They really did. They had every excuse in the book to lose. They absolutely did. Without a doubt. You know, minor league players in your lineup, taxi squad players in your lineup, they had every excuse in the book to lose and for us not to feel bad. But when you go out and just play with zero passion, show us. It's like I forget the coach's name from The Replacements. Gene Hackman played. Somebody in the chat remind me of his name in The Replacements. Gene Hackman, name of the coach. When he's walking off the field at the end of the game before Keanu Reeves comes back. And like, you need heart. You need heart. And this team lacks so much heart. Like, it's so blatantly obvious. We all see it. Why don't they? I would trade literally everybody on this team not named Jack and Darlene for Tom Wilson right now. Shit, give me Milan Lucic at $1 million a season. He's a scumbag, but you know what? He's not going to play like that. He's going to go out there and bang people into the boards, play hard in front of the net. There's just no passion. Like, give me one guy that played with as much passion as Patrick Coletta used to play with. Not some guy to go out there and play 10 minutes a night. Just some guy to throw out there when you need somebody to create a spark. There's nobody out there right now that can do that. Outside of Jack when he makes a pretty play. Like, it's so mind-blowing. And now you're looking at a year where you have Taylor Hall on your roster. You had Victor Olofsson in his second year, just honest to God, looking great, especially from that one spot on the power play. You had Eric Stahl to fill in for one season as your second line center. And just like, you have all these pieces in place, and we bring in an inexperienced general manager like Kevin Adams. And I'm not trying to bash Kevin Adams, but in my opinion, Taylor Hall is a layup for any GM that has Jack Eichel on their hockey team, and Taylor Hall, a guy who wants to get paid and needs to go somewhere where he's going to succeed to get paid. If I want to go get paid $8, $9, $10 million a year, maybe I should go play on Jack Eichel's wing. I saw what happened with Jeff Skinner. To me, that's not as difficult of a sell as that team made it out to be. Eric Stahl, cool. Marcus Johansson for Eric Stahl. Great. He hasn't really impressed that much, but cool. You went and got him. But you didn't address defense. You didn't address goaltending. You didn't do a good job, bro. Like, holy shit. Like, there's so much wrong with this team. But the thing of it is, obviously, it's bad contracts, but you brought in guys like Toby Reeder who have played so well. And, you know, it's just, it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing that just, like, you see those guys outperform and out-hustle and outwork players that have been on your team for years. Give me more Toby Reeders. For sure, as much as I hated his contract and how much overpaid he got compared to guys like Anthony Duclair, who I would have loved for them to sign in the offseason, give me Zemgus Girgensons. I would love if he doesn't hurt, because at least he would offer some energy to that bottom six. It's just, oh man, I don't know what to do anymore, guys. Like I said, I'm not like some like guy who puts himself on a pedestal to be a voice for the Sabres, but like I have to imagine everybody feels the same way I do that has been ingrained with this team as long as I have. Like, I've developed so many friendships and so many relationships because of this hockey team. Because of this hockey team, I got involved with competitive hockey. Because of this hockey team, it eventually led from competitive hockey to coaching. A lot of the friends that I have today were because of my relationships in hockey in the past. And it all started because of this hockey team and the passion that it gave me for the sport and the game, because of the passion the players gave us as fans. And it's just not there. You have too many people on this team just collecting a paycheck. Oh, I have season tickets, buddy. Hey, hold on. Don't worry. I do have season tickets. I do. I've had season tickets in some form of capacity since that arena opened when it was Marine Midland Arena between my dad, my cousin, and my dad again. I've been in that. I've been essentially almost in some ways, I would say a season ticket holder for all but 2 years of their time in that arena, 2 or 3 years. So trust me, like I have been a season ticket holder, and this sucks, man. This sucks. I don't make $100,000 a year. I don't make a ton of money a year, but I still pay my money for this crap because like sometimes, especially growing up, the one thing that was always the constant for me was the Sabres. When I was going through a lot of dark times in my life, the one constant was always there for me was the Sabres. Just a reason to make a relationship. See somebody wearing a Sabre jersey, you strike up a conversation. Oh, hey man, how about that game last night? And maybe you make a friend. I wrote in that article. Growing up for me, it was difficult to make friends, and I was awkward and shy. But this team, bridged that gap for me to make those relationships, and that's why they were as important to me as they are. And the passion they showed every night, game in and game out, they worked their asses off for me and the fans. And it's just not existent anymore. I don't know. It's what has to be done to turn this around? Like, I don't know. It's just, I love them. I do, man. I'll always stay loyal to the Buffalo Sabres organization. Always. As much as they rip my heart out, man. And I am a Red Sox fan too, and that was tough growing up as well. I remember watching my grandfather cry when they finally won the World Series in 2004, and it was, I think of things like that when it comes to the Sabres and the Bills, and I wonder if that's the way it's going to be like when it finally happens for either of these teams. Yeah, it does start with the Pagulas. It absolutely does start with the Pagulas. 100% it starts with the Pagulas, And I got once nailed to the cross for saying this. But they got lucky with Sean McDermott and Bean and how good they ended up. And that's a fact. It's a fact because I can't imagine they knew that things were going to turn around as quickly as they did with those two those two at the helm. No way. No way. They got lucky with that hire. And they keep spinning their wheels with these hires with the Sabres. Like, give me, dude, if Lindy was still coaching this exact team, this wouldn't be like, he wouldn't put up with that lack of passion. People could say all the things they wanted about Ted Nolan and say that Ted Nolan was, wasn't an X's and O's guy and, he was a part of it. But you want to know what Ted Nolan was? He got the most out of mediocrity. You look at those teams he did coach, especially in 96, 97. Granted, he had the greatest goalie that ever lived. But he got the most out of average hockey players that play outside themselves. And he never had a Jack Eichel. You know what I mean? Like he never had a Rasmus Dahlin really. And I think of guys like him and what they could have done with this roster and like how they could have gotten at least the hard work and the ethic and the passion out of these players, Lindy and Ted. And you just don't see it year in and year out. This is so much worse than the Bills' job because at least the Bills would sell you hope, always in the hunt and just stuff like that. And they just don't even look close. We really might be on the verge of losing Jack Eichel, and I don't want that, man, because like it's so hard. We've seen how hard it is to fight a second line center. When Eric Stahl's gone, and then you lose Jack Eichel, you're gonna be trying to fill both voids again. You're gonna force Dylan Cousins to do something he's not ready for. Like, yeah, all I did have was Derek Plant. Like it's wild. It's I don't know anymore, man. So I'm going to leave you guys now. Yeah, it was a good first one, right? That was good. I tried not to swear. I tried to behave myself. I did yell a little bit. I'm sweating a little bit. I'm definitely sweating. Wearing a Sherpa zip up here is definitely bad choice. Milk was a bad choice. So love you all. And, I'll talk to you soon. Make sure you're following at Two Goalies One Mic. Check out our latest interview with another overly passionate yet calm fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Steve Dangle, good friend of the program, great dude. He just dropped an interview with Edge from WWE. Unbelievable. Steve Dangle podcast on Twitter. Check it out. Unbelievable content coming from him. We had him on our show. The guy was an absolute beaut on Wagon Electric Factory. So check that out. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. At Two Goalies One Mike, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm just spinning my wheels right now. So I'm tired. I'm hot. I'm sweaty. And I'm just over it. And this is going to ruin my day tomorrow at work. I'm literally not going to listen to the radio tomorrow. I'm just going to choose not to because it'll just ruin my morning even more. Yes, hold on. I gotta pull that one up. Where was it? It was a Ted Nolan pump. Where is it? I gotta pull that one up because I appreciate that comment. Where is it? It's true. Ted Nolan's players were willing to skate through a wall for him. It's a fact. If you read Pat LaFontaine's book, Companions and Courage, he referred to Ted Nolan as the greatest coach he ever had. And for a guy like him, a Hall of Famer, 1,000-point scorer, to say like that, arguably one of the best players in U.S. hockey history, he's not lying. Like, Ted Nolan was a good coach. I know the media made him out to be worse than what he was, saying he wasn't an X's and O's guys, but it's a fact, man. He was a great coach, and this team could really use a guy like him right now. Not a guy about analytics and preaching, systems that don't work. You had a coach that tries to make his players play in a system that doesn't suit them, and it's clearly not working. And that's what happens when you hire a soccer guy to coach a hockey team. So I don't know. I'll catch you guys soon, and love you all. And take care. Drive safe out there tonight, tomorrow. Whatever, and go Sabres.